What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 13th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Lots of Phillies news today. First, we'll start with the game. First, 3-2 extra inning loss to the Marlins. They lost 2 of 3. Not ideal. They finished out the homestand 3-3, which is a good improvement from where they were 1-5 on the opening road trip. But a couple things, positives to take away. I feel like the lineup tweaks that Rob Thompson did, I like. It seems like they're able to get things in. They're still not, some of the timely hitting, I think they need to work on, but I think things like that will come. Obviously, Stott leading off. I'm a big, huge fan of that. The bullpen, for the most part, looks good. Alvarado has been amazing. Kimbrel concerns me somewhat. He's still... Yesterday, that hit was... I mean, that was a... I don't want to say it was a fluky hit. It was a good hit, but down the line. But I want to see more out of him. And I think the starting pitching... Yesterday, Wheeler looked good. Went 6 innings for the first time, one of our pitchers. So as the weather gets warmer, I'm thinking a lot of that's going to work itself out. You got Ranger Suarez possibly coming back soon. I'm still concerned with Nola. I think he looked better, though, his last start. So I want to see one more start before I hit the panic button. They moved to Cincinnati for a 4-game series, and then they go to Chicago for the White Sox. At least with the Reds, that's a decent kind of get-right spot. Let them work out some of the kinks. So hopefully they're in the process of figuring it out. Rob Thompson said in his post-game press conference yesterday that he was encouraged with some of the things that he did see on this homestand. Hopefully moving forward, they're not that far out of it. Now, if they left this homestand 2-10, then I think we should be concerned. But for now, we're okay. Good news on the Bryce Harper front. He's okay to hit live pitching. He's still not approved to slide yet. But they also mentioned, which I thought was interesting, that they have him taking reps at first base. So that I don't know from an arm perspective when he's going to be able to throw and going to be ready to throw. Does that make him more of a liability? But it seems like he's progressing a lot faster than anybody thought. And hopefully it's that he's healing faster and it is progressing and they're not rushing him back. I don't think the Phillies would do that, but I can see him. Maybe it's just good work ethic too. I don't know. But it's worth monitoring because they had him working at first base. He's swinging at live pitching. He just has not been approved to slide yet. The other thing I wanted to mention that I completely missed yesterday, it happened after I had recorded, that some of the national media were getting on the Philly fans the other night. It was Dollar Dog Night, and they were throwing hot dogs down from the upper deck. But take that with a grain of salt, because if you look at the video, the people down low were actually encouraged. So it was I feel it was more harmless fun. Now I'm sure there's some lady out there who got hit in the head with a hot dog, said it wasn't harmless fun. But for the most part, it didn't look like anybody was angry. It didn't look like it was anything to be concerned about. Just fans in a blowout game having a little bit of fun. Nothing to be too concerned about. But I thought that was funny. I did want to mention Bradley Beal. You may have seen that he had the incident where a guy really got on him and got pretty nasty with his just saying stuff about his family and things like that. And he went after, like, pushed the guy or knocked his hat off, and it led to some things and whatnot. But he came out and said, basically, about the sports gambling and things like that, hey, I get it. You're pissed off you lost money. I think it was on a prop bet or something. But don't make it personal. And I agree with that. And there's a group of people now that are trying to say, oh, sports gambling is bad for the... No, like, it's just an easier scapegoat to blame it, I think, on sports gambling when... To be completely honest, like, I've been at plenty of games for all sports. It's because people have too much alcohol. And then that just escalates. And, like, sure, the gambling. But people were gambling before it was legal. And I think the alcohol is the the key component there, but nobody wants to talk about that because of all the money that the beer companies put into these sports as sponsors. So I just thought that was interesting that he came out and said, yeah, just don't make it personal, kind of saying, okay, it's cool, I get it, but then you have that group of people saying, well, it's sports gambling, it's going to be bad for the game, and if unruly fans. And listen, as a Philadelphia person, we've been unruly since way before alcohol was served at games. But enough about that. Like I said, I wanted to mention that. The Union move on in the CONCACAF Champions League. They tied last night, but they basically moved ahead of Atlas based on the aggregate goals. So I have to look at the schedule and see when they play. I believe they move on to the semifinals in that tournament. Flyers finish up tonight, meaningless game against the Blackhawks. They can't move in the standings. Anxious to see, like I said yesterday, what happens now with this team. Are they going to give Danny Briere full control and let him do his thing, or what? All right, so kind of going on a sad note today, we're going to go back to 2009, and on April 13th, 2009, the voice of my childhood, especially in the summers, playing wiffle ball, hanging out by the pool, passed away. Harry Kalas died on this day back in 2009. He was the broadcaster of the Phillies from 1971 until he passed away. Started off with the Astros in 1965. He called the first game of the Astrodome. He was the master of ceremonies at the opening ceremonies of the Vet. Obviously also called the last game at the Vet. And he was not very well liked and received when he first came in because he was replacing a legend. He was replacing Bill Campbell, who everybody in Philly loved. Bill Campbell, I think, at one point has been one of the announcers for all four of the major teams in Philly too. But let me confirm that. But I remember listening to Bill Campbell on WIP. But Harry slowly won them over. I kind of liken it a lot to what happened with Tom McCarthy. Tom McCarthy sort of was the heir apparent to Harry, and I personally didn't like T-Mac at first based on the fact that he was not Harry Kalas, but he has grown on me. So like I said, I see definitely a lot of similarities. But in his career, Harry called 6 no-hitters, 6 NLCS series, 3 World Series. Should have been 4, but in 1980, the Major League Baseball, because of their TV contracts with NBC and radio contracts, local broadcasters were not allowed to call the games. So it was one of those things Harry always regretted. He wanted to call a Phillies championship. He got his chance in 2008, had the iconic, the swing and a miss, the Phillies are World Series champions of baseball. Some of my favorite Harry calls were obviously the Mike Schmidt 500th home run call, the Mitch Williams hit or RBI hit to win that doubleheader that ended at like 4:40 in the morning, which ironically enough, I was up at 4:40 in the morning. That night I was going to bed when he called him Mitchie Poo. Chase Utley, you are the man. Obviously the 2008 World Series call, Mickey Morandini just saying his name. I could go on and on and on about all the Harry Kalas calls, but I'm sure you have your own favorites. I'm not going to do the man an injustice by trying to attempt on the anniversary of his death an impersonation. But a lot of people don't remember this or don't realize Harry also did play-by-play on NFL radio for Westwood One, and he also was the voice of NFL Films after John Facenda. I don't know if John Facenda passed away or what happened there, but Harry did a lot of the voiceovers for some of those iconic NFL film things. So if you're ever watching the NFL Network and you hear somebody that sounds like Harry, yes, it was Harry. But on this day, one of my all-time, like a piece of my childhood died that day. I actually legitimately cried to Abby, my wife, when that happened. But on this day, back in 2009, Harry the K passed away. I'm tearing up now just thinking about it, just because of how much his voice and just him calling those games meant to me. Summertime with family, and like reminds me of my grandfather. Oh man, I didn't expect that to happen today. But on this day, Harry Kalas passed away. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Man, whew, that was tough, and a lot tougher. I did not expect that to happen at all. But our Eagles draft pick spotlight today, we're going to go back. Heath Sherman one of my favorite enigmas, I guess you could call him. The Wharton, Texas native, was a 6th-round pick, number 162 overall in 1991, I believe it was. But he went to Texas A&M Kingsville. At the time, it was known as Texas A&I. Running back who should have been a lot. I'm sorry, Heath Sherman was drafted in 1989. The Harry Callis thing has me all messed up right now. But Heath Sherman, 6th-round pick, 1989. But the Texas A&I, which became Texas A&M Kingsville, spent 5 years with the Eagles, but never was the lead back. He was always the change of pace guy. He played behind Keith Byers, Anthony Toney, Herschel Walker. He did average 4 yards a carry. So when he got time and when he played, because he was changing a change of pace back, he was good. His best season probably came in 1992. He averaged 5.2 yards per carry. Probably the pinnacle of his Eagles career came in the 1992 wildcard game against the Saints. He rushed 21 times for 105 yards and a touchdown. The Eagles won that game. That was Reggie White's only playoff win with the Eagles when he got the safety and the iconic picture of him putting up the safety sign. After that game, Heath Sherman never had another 100-yard game and was out of the league a year later. I just feel like he had a lot of potential, and I don't know whether it was play calling, his work ethic, whether he wouldn't have held up for a full to be the lead back. But he was always the second guy behind, like I said, Byers, Toney, Walker, Robert Drummond, just a bunch of random guys. Saran Stacy, I think, at one point. But Heath Sherman, 6th-round pick of the Eagles back in 1989 out of Texas A&M Kingsville. Like I said, lots of potential, just never fully realized. Sad day. On this day in 2009, Harry Callis passed away. Let's hope the Phillies can go on a road trip and have a better one than they did the last time. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.